as a disciplined sitting meditation. From sitting, it had moved to a lying meditation, and now, no longer with any pretense, was a nap. Evolution in reverse. I spent most of my life in my castle keep, an academic's tower fortress nestled in a small one-bedroom apartment on 18th Street in Chelsea, NYC. A fortress of bricks and books, with books as bricks, lining the walls, piled on any open surface, and scattered on the floor like stepping stones. Erect, seated, or prone, I reveled in the privacy of this disheveled library and its comforting scent of decaying forest, the sweet-smelling compost of the literary canon, not the pungent pulp. These books' authors had led me into universes of imagination and worlds lighter or darker than my own. Whenever I wasn't living in a book's mindscape, I was lost, alone in my gray mind. The bricks on the wall made way only for a couple of framed posters of classical films I loved. My final love was letters. Well-written letters were pages from a life meant for an audience of one, the intimacy of personal communication that traveled over time and space. Electronic communications had reduced correspondence to a casual encounter, the trite message appearing in no time and a denial of space, often with multiple recipients. Exchanging the pleasure one receives from well-crafted prose for the endorphin release in the ting of a text. On occasion, as a man of letters, I still received well-written and illuminating correspondence. Those letters were sent by colleagues, other professors, and writers from around the globe. I took pride in being part of the global intellectual elite, a position granted me by my tenured title, Professor of Literature. Ah, esteemed academia, cowering in retreat in the face of men who would say and do anything, men of dark force, untethered by the truth. Half the country considered me, a New York City liberal professor with an Irish Catholic father and an agnostic Jewish mother, a collaborator and an appeaser of alien rapists and jihadist killers. My Irish agnostic tolerance and love of humanity were only limited by desire for comfort. Yes, I was alone most of the time, but only when I was dealing with me and my was I able to hold on to some semblance of control. The routine of classes, naps, letters, books, and the occasional movie served as a buffer from Churchill's one damn thing after another. After a bathroom break, I picked up the letter on the way to my reading chair and desk, knowing it would be full of hyperbole and New Age babble. Dylan claimed to have poetic license to bastardize the language. His letters were unsettling in other ways as well, as they inevitably proposed some unwelcome course of action on my part. On the other hand, there was that intriguing postmark from Kathmandu, and Dylan was my oldest friend. We were classmates from elementary school through college. At the University of Pennsylvania, Dylan focused on poetry, rock, reggae, and punk, while I was more serious and focused on achieving good grades in literature and philosophy. Dylan and I both dabbled in meditation and Buddhist philosophy, which endeared us to the girls we tended to like. We also shared tastes in poetry, music, and film. Though we often competed for the affection of the same lady during those days of beer and weed, our friendship always came first. Dylan Byrne had been named after the poet, not the songwriter, though now the songwriter, Bob, was a Nobel laureate poet. Dylan was a fan of both these lyrical masters that shared his name. Over the last decade, our relationship had become limited to a few memorable meetings and much hyped letters better forgotten. Dylan's letters forced me to labor over my response when I couldn't just let his newest call to action pass through inaction. Typical suggestions included that I read some great book recently unearthed in a desert and translated from the original Sanskrit, his word, or that I start a yoga practice with his teacher in Timbuktu, or go into a sensory deprivation tank on a microdose of acid. Dylan had somehow enjoyed a successful career on Wall Street, a strange fit for the restless dreamer with